The name of our planet might be misleading. We call it Earth, yet over 70% of its surface is covered by the ocean. And in fact, we have not taken the best care of our planet ocean. 30% of world fisheries are overexploited, 38 million of tons of sea creatures are intentionally caught, and illegal fishing represents losses of more than $90 billion. We want to start fighting this here and now by establishing a startup that provides Earth observation services to monitor fishing activity in Portugal. To pursue this project, we need a team of 9 elements, a 3-year time frame, and an initial investment of 400,000 euros. The name of our startup is BF6, and to guide its inception, the Value Creation Wheel framework was applied. So we would like to thank Professor Luís Filipe Lages and Carlos Reis Marques for guiding our project and taught us this valuable framework. So this is our team. We are a group of 4 Nova SB Masters in Management students, and we will be the key decision makers of this project. This project will go through the 5 phases of the Value Creation Wheel, which are Discover Value, that is the phase 1, the phase 2, Create Value, phase 3, Capture Value, phase 4, Validate Value, and last but not least, the phase 5, Consolidate Value. The first phase consists in diagnosing the problem and challenge that the proposed solution aims to address, as well as setting key performance indicators, performing internal and external analysis, and define the value proposition of the solution. To provide a more complete analysis, frameworks as PASTEL, SWOT, and TALS analysis will be used. Starting by the challenge, the overriding question of this project is, what is the most attractive geographical market for our startup to launch Earth observation services for fishing? This will be answered throughout the whole project. We have defined short, medium, and long-term KPIs, as well as team, project, and company-related KPIs to guide our work. This was really important to keep us accountable of our progress as well as our teamwork dynamics. In the team-related KPIs, the main goal was to ensure that the whole team was engaged in the development of the project, that the internal and external deadlines were respected, as well as that this project could be a valuable learning opportunity for the team, either by getting into the Earth observation and fishing industry, as well as to get a deeper understanding of the Value Creation Wheel framework. In the project-related KPIs, the main objectives were to identify an attractive target market with potential customers for our services and make this by avoiding pre-filter ideas. At the same time, we wanted to guarantee that our project was strictly aligned with the accomplishment of the SDGs. Furthermore, we aimed to involve external stakeholders in our process, what revealed to be a tough part of the project. Lastly, in the company-related key performance indicators, we defined financial, strategic, and operational objectives, such as finding at least 1 investor and 2 major clients for our services, establishing partnerships with local companies, as well as start profiting in our geographical market after 2 years of activity. To provide a holistic overview, an overall context and background in the fishing industry will take place. Some facts that we can highlight is that more than 3 billion people depend on fish for essential nutrition, and the fishing industry employs more than 160 million people worldwide. The market size of the fishing industry is growing considerably. In 2019, it produced more than 170 million metric tons of fish, which represented a value of almost 160 billion of US dollars. In 6 years, the fishing industry expects to reach a market size of almost 200 billions of US dollars. Considering the 4 or 5 forces that shape the industry, we can mention that it is a highly competitive environment. There are huge players that pull the industry both in the importing and exporting sides, and this creates high barriers to entry due to the size of the companies, but also due to the high fixed cost that they impose. Nevertheless, it's worth mentioning that bargaining power of supply is not that relevant since it's a commodity industry. Furthermore, the bargaining power of buyers is considerable due to the low switching costs and the wide range of substitutes available for fish. In the PASTEL analysis, we want to mainly outline that governments are already undertaking policies to fight illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, as well as adopting more sustainable and digital initiatives. In the economical side, it's inevitable to mention that the effects caused by the COVID-19 pandemic will limit the economic growth of almost every country. In the society factors, it's worth mentioning that sustainability is becoming an important and embraced topic. And in the technology aspects, there are new opportunities that are arising due to the Industry 4.0, which favors solutions like Earth observation. Environmentally speaking, we have been witnessing climate changes due to the irresponsible production and consumption, which also lead to the extinction of certain animal species, especially in fishing. And in the legal factors, we can mention that are rising legislations of the environment, as well as formal implementation of SDGs in governmental bodies. As previously mentioned in the elevator pitch, there has been dramatic reduction of the world fish stocks due to overfishing, climate changes, unsustainable trade, and illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Therefore, BF6 is a startup that offers a solution for those issues. So now we will have a deeper look in BF6, what it does, what are its services and user scenarios, and what is the impact that they intend to have. BF6 is a startup in the downstream segment of the Earth observation industry, which takes advantage of Earth observation data to provide support in decision-making for environmental regulations of the marine environment through value-added services. By improving the knowledge base of public authorities and the predictability of management scenarios, BF6 intends to contribute to more sustainable fishing practices as well as environmentally friendly and safe tourism. Our startup will be divided into 3 user scenarios: characterization of fishing zones, fish provenance and eco-labeling, and the impact on tourism. The first 2 user scenarios will have services of accurate mapping and identification of core fishing zones based on EO data sources with additional meteorological and climatological ones. This solution allows a more efficient, sustainable, and eco-friendly fishing. The other service is monitoring and surveillance of vessels traffic that allows the detection of illicit activities by non-reporting vessels and reduction of illegal fishing, which supports the preservation of fish stocks. The third user scenario is dedicated to tourism and the prevention of coastal erosion in order to improve coastal and marine spatial planning. All these solutions are designed and tailor-made for government and public agencies, which are non-technical EU end users. Therefore, they are looking for specific insights to be delivered to them in order to help their decision-making process. The overall benefits of our user scenarios are they improve protection of aquatic species and marine through the promotion of more efficient and sustainable fishing, and support to fish stocks, and facilitate the decision-making in environmental regulations. Provide a larger and accurate image of the marine environment and habitat conditions for different species. In pseudo data sources are required, such as Argo floats to measure temperature and salinity profiles, high-frequency radars to monitor surface currents, ferry boxes to measure chlorophyll, nutrient, and the oxygen of the water, which is crucial for the characterization of fishing areas, and we also need research vessels to provide additional information. Our services and value propositions aims to be strictly aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, namely SDG 1 and 2, which stand for no poverty and no hunger, through the development of fishing communities as well as the working towards improving health of fish stocks and making sure that fish can reach the whole population. We also stand for clean water and responsible production. That's why we want to accurately map fishing zones and control water quality as well as detecting illegal fishing activities. We aim to be actively involved in climate action and respect of the life in the sea through the promotion of eco-friendly fishing practices and a comprehensive understanding of the marine environment. Further 5 forces analysis for the Earth observation industry was also performed, and some factors that can be highlighted is that supplier power is not really high, since the data is provided for free through the Copernicus program. There is a low threat of substitutes, since this is a highly specialized services. However, the competition has been rising in this industry, therefore there's a considerable intensity of rivalry, and we will see some competitors that are already operating in the market in the next slide. Within the Earth observation industry, we identified 11 players with similar fishing and maritime services that our startup intends to offer. We have organized them into a positioning map that considers the technical expertise of their services and who is the main target of these companies as well. Some different positionings can be outlined, as some companies focus on providing imagery services, as the European Space Imaging, while other companies focus more on insights such as Terracenia. Furthermore, we can spot an opportunity in the first quadrant that is precisely where we want to position our startup. We have also conducted a SWOT analysis to understand what are the main strengths and points of improvement of our startup. Some of the positive sides of our startup are the provision of merged satellite information with in-situ information, and also we have access to a wide range of EO data for free, and our services are highly scalable and applicable to other geographical locations. However, the key decision makers, which is the team, have no experience in this industry, and our startup has no reputation and partnerships, which is crucial to work with public institutions. That also is our only target at the moment. The main opportunities that we can take advantage of is the global interest for sustainable practices and the protection of the marine environment and biodiversity, as well as the demand for more technological services. Some threats that our startup is acquainted with is that the Earth observation industry is growing, and there are some major players in the market that can do vertical integration, and that the downstream segment of the EO industry has little or almost no barriers. The TOS analysis helped to complement our SWOT, and some of the strategies that we can mention to leverage our strengths and fight our weaknesses are, for example, use of a data-driven approach to provide unique insights to end users and establish a first-mover advantage to prevent the entrance of new competitors. Focus on what the end users want to, and that will help us to overcome the lack of experience. And partner up with a global player to fill the data and knowledge gap and help us to build reputation quickly.
We now reach phase 2, where we will be inducing solutions and generating filters and criteria for our analysis. For phase 2A, we decided to keep the 193 United Nations countries into our analysis. There are 3 main reasons for us to decide on this path. First of all, in this way we keep an open mind throughout the course of the project and avoid the possibility of eliminating profitable opportunities. Then, during our secondary research, we found no evidence to exclude any of the countries included in this group. And finally, countries recognized by the United Nations show interest in contributing to the achievement of the SDGs, which in the end is aligned with our mission. Generally, our method to generate filters was divided into primary and secondary data. Inside primary data, each member did its individual research, and then the findings were discussed in a brainstorming activity. There were also some discussions with other groups, as well as some conclusions taken from the class's discussions. For the secondary data, it was mostly based on governmental statistics, market reports, journals, or research papers. The results were, as you can see in the slide. Globally, we were able to generate 55 filters, subdivided into 6 categories: technology, economy, geography, finance, environment, and competition. The same output can be seen for the generation of local filters. It made sense for our team to organize the filters in the same way as in the global analysis, and we arrived at 20 global filters. On phase 2, we saw the process of generating filters, where we ended up with 55 global ones and 20 local filters. In phase 3, our goal will be to reduce these only to take into account the most relevant ones for our project and to then arrive to an optimal geographical market. With a similar reasoning as the one presented in phase 2A, our team decided to still consider the 193 United Nations countries into our analysis. In this way, we keep an open mind throughout the course of the project and avoid the possibility of eliminating profitable opportunities. For selecting our most relevant filters, we decided to use the POCA method. This method incentivized collaborative decision-making and a democratic leadership style by fostering communication and collaboration between all the members. The 4 actions undertaken are kill, review, keep, or multiply. So these were the filters that we ended up killing in the global market. The most common reason for killing a certain filter were the fact that it's not measurable and we did not find a reliable data source for it, especially the ones regarding competition. Other than that, many of them were not necessarily relevant to our user scenario, like the population growth, for instance. Finally, there were some cases in which some filters were overlapping with each other, like the economic freedom with the government stability. Regarding filters that were reviewed, there were some situations in which our team was unsure about the importance of the filter in our user scenario, so it demanded a little bit of extensive research. Other reasons had to do with the fact that we find the filter relevant, but we needed to check if there was data for that specific filter, and if not, try to find a proxy. This was the case for the government support in an area that in the end was substituted by government stability, or the extension of the ocean that was replaced by the EEZ size in squared kilometers. When it comes to filters to multiply, there were none. Filters to keep were simply the ones that were already stated in an accurate way, that we could find the data to it, and that were extremely relevant for our user scenario and our services. And next we will explain the reasoning behind most of them. Our global ranking, where we came a long way from 55 filters to only 13. Generally, our reasoning was to make sure that the country had enough coast and ocean space to explore in order for us to provide our services. Then we wanted to guarantee that the geographical market we ended up in had the right conditions to establish a new business, and more than that, that we would get the right support regarding innovation. Finally, we chose filters that were directly linked with our user scenarios, such as the protected areas or the percentage of threatened species in a territory. But going deeper into each of them, so first the EEZ is a boundary that allows countries to regulate the natural resources in the waters and limits the space where a country has sovereign rights for the purpose of exploring, exploiting, conserving and managing natural resources. This, together with the length of the coastal line, allowed our startup to reach the goal of providing support in decision-making for environmental regulations of the maritime environment through value-added services. If the countries have no coastal line or no ocean area to exploit, our startup can simply not operate. Then regarding the EU Fishing Index, recall that our user scenario has to do with sustainable trade, eco-labeling and minimization of bycatch. Illegal and unreported fishing is then a common practice that gets in the way. In this sense, we want to operate in a country that show to have issues with fighting this problem. Then moving on to the ease of doing business and the regulatory quality index, the rationale was for BF6 to enter a country where the environment is encouraging to do business and where the government is able to formulate and implement policies and regulations that permit and promote private sector development. Then we move to filters that relate to innovation. That is a crucial component of our service as well, and therefore it needs to be considered. The Global Innovation Index, the R&D expenditure, has a percentage of the GDP, and the number of satellites per country were then taken into account. Our startup also wants to be aligned with the SDGs, so in this sense we chose to consider the SDGs performance score into our analysis. This was mainly because on the one hand we want countries that perform fairly good on the SDGs because it shows that they are committed into achieving them and as a consequence will support our business since we aim to be aligned with those. But on the other hand, we want to help countries performing better, so there need to be space for improvement on their performance score, of course. Finally, our last 4 filters are again directly connected to our user scenario and goals of the startup. since we need to operate in a country where fishing has a significant importance, and at the same time our goal is to help improving the level of threatened species. So locally we initially had 20 filters that were then reduced to 7. Regarding the ranking, since in the global filters we already accounted for factors to smoothly establish a business in a specific country, on the local ranking we decided to prioritize filters directly related to our user scenario and fishing, as well as for innovation, that in the end are the main pillars of our startup. Taking this into consideration, this was the ranking that we achieved. So first we have the nominal catch landed in the region that was used as a proxy of fishing production in a certain region. It helped us understand whether or not fishing is an important activity and the potential relevance of our service. Next, we have enterprises with innovation activities in fishing. Given that our startup is all about innovation, we wanted to deliver a service that it's not necessarily common in Portugal and maybe enjoy a first mover advantage. But we can only do this if the fishing sector is already open to innovation and we have the support of potential partners in the process. Then we decided to take into account the number of fishing vessels in national fleet, since our service aims to monitor vessels' activities. Occupying the 4th position, we have the covered length of coastal line, which similarly to the reasoning on the global filters, having a coastal line is essential for our operations to proceed. Again, we need to recall that our user scenario is related to minimization of bycatch. In this sense, we included a filter that reflected this issue. The higher the level of bycatch, the more relevant our service can be. Then we have the expenditure of municipalities on environmental management and protection. As already mentioned, one of our goals is to be aligned with certain SDGs and foster sustainability in fishing activities. So by assessing the spending on environmental protection, we can see whether or not the region is interested on the subject and maybe provide our startup with the right support. Finally, the number of fishing companies was also included. We have considered this as a potential sign of illegal and unreported fishing, so our logic is that the higher the number of fishing companies in a specific area, the higher the probability of EOU occurring there. We now proceed to phase 4A, where our group applied the MCDA and the value creation funnel methods to finally arrive to the most attractive geographical market to launch our startup. In phase 3C, we showed you how we ranked our filters both globally and locally. After that, we defined thresholds that allowed us to achieve the MCDA and the value creation funnel solutions. This phase allowed us to segment the countries and reach a final profitable solution and the respective region based on these filters applied. The global funnel that we achieved is as shown in the slide and clearly shows the country segmentation. After applying the first filter, we reduced our options by a lot, going from the 193 United Nations countries to only 42. In the end, after applying the first line filters, we already had Portugal as the winner geographical market. We were actually really happy with this solution since we have some knowledge on the country and market conditions, and it's actually the country that we lived in. Portugal has the most attractive market, was also supported by the MCDA. As you might have seen on the value creation funnel, our second contender was Italy, but on the MCDA, Italy is placed on the 6th position. This shows as the ranking of the filters can affect the final solutions. Locally, the procedure was basically the same. We applied the filters to all the sub-regions in Portugal according to the NUTS 3 classification. In the end, we reached OESTE, which was also great since we knew it had regions such as Peniche or Nazaré, which have a high importance when it comes to fishing activities. The multi-criteria decision-making also supporting this region has the most profitable one.
And now we're moving to phase 4B. We want to provide an overview of Portugal itself and the region OESTE. Speaking about Portugal, we also had a look on the exclusive economic zone, which is the EEZ, which was part of our decision making, the length of coastal line, which is about 1,793 kilometers, and basically the fishing industry assumes a particular importance in Portugal based on these factors. And in the next step, we kind of ended at OESTE because it has two parts. We have 12 municipalities, and fishing has also a really important role there. And after we ended up in OESTE, it was also important for us to have a customer profile, though who is relevant for us. First of all, our target is located in OESTE. As said, we have 12 municipalities there and two ports. The number, having a look there, we have 3 potential customers where we also have a deeper look on in the next step. And the issue there is that there's a lack in a holistic overview and an analysis of data regarding unreported fishing, for example, what we will provide in the next steps. Furthermore, there are issue areas speaking about fish stock, and the contribution is the sustainable development, and it's not also socioeconomic, but also speaking about technology. Having then a look on the earlier mentioned 3 customers, we have first of all OESTE, the intermunicipal community of OESTE, though it is a public entity whose mission it is to contribute to the promotion of sustainable development and improving the quality of life in its municipalities. And therefore they are promoting of planning and managing strategy of economic, social and environmental development that this territory is covered. And also they are responsible for ensuring the coordination of actions between municipalities and central government. This is our first customer. Our second customer is Pesca. It is a state-run company, and the mission is to operate in the fishing sector, specifically in the first sale of catch and related activities. It has an important role in fishing innovation, and the strategic guidelines are followed, and they would, at the end of the day, benefit from our services. Lastly, our third company is Grupo Asao Local Pesca Oeste, though they are basically focusing on entrepreneurial fishing and coastal communities, and the value is in innovation, and they also promote natural and cultural heritage, though they would as well benefit from our services. However, to serve our clients well, it is also important to have a look on our own vision, mission, and our targeting. Our vision is promoting sustainable trade by monitoring fishing practices and ship traffic, preventing ecosystem disturbances. Having done a look on our mission, it is provide our customers with monitoring services with the purpose of together decreasing the impact of sustainable fishing practices and anticipating the consequences of natural events in the region of OESTE. Having done a look on the segmentation, we have firstly the geographical, though as said it is OESTE. We have the firmographics, which is like on the one hand the governmental authorities and on the other hand public authorities, and behavioral low till medium technical background. Though, as said, our target are governmental and public authorities with low till medium technical background and with large coastal areas which is of course important in our case. Having now looked at our positioning statement, we say, for all governmental and public authorities that seek to make a difference to preserve our planet and oceans, BF6 is the solution that provides easy-to-understand monitoring services through maritime and security futures that leverage algorithms, artificial intelligence, and the combination of best data sources. We are the go-to company for simple and efficient, inexpensive EOUS services, having always envisioned the SDGs in our activities. Thereby, the competitive advantage is based on simplicity because we are focused on the region OESTE. We'll have our expertise there, whereas our competitors are acting globally. Our values are mainly captured in 5 bullets, though we're speaking about accessibility, simplicity, accurate data and reports, long-term relationships, and lastly, it is important that there is a continuous investment in research and development. Speaking about our strategy, of course, BF6 did a comprehensive analysis, and thereby we realized that we can enter the market through the Blue Ocean strategy. This is based on several factors, such as the background of the founders, which is based on business, but also in different areas. We have value-added services, and also the region of OESTE can provide a large advantage for us. Speaking about our concept, it is basically focused on the monitoring of marine protected areas and vessels traffic. We're in the downstream market, which is maybe important to know. And in the next step, we will have a deeper look on our concepts. Therefore, we chose 3 different ones to adapt to the needs. All of them can be visited on our homepage, and therefore we have first of all the mapping and identifying core fishing zones, which means the maritime authority agent can log into our homepage. Then an area to collect with information is selected, such as the sea surface temperature, and also the transparency, and based on that, after acquiring all the data, the authority has an overall overview with the analysis. The second concept focuses on our first security feature, which is unusual or irregular activity monitoring of non-reporting fishing vessels. Again, the authority logs in to our homepage. To monitor a specific area, their user selects an area of interest, and based off that, the authority gets a notification, like an alert. The search reports are delivered, and the most likely areas are also forwarded then to the authorities so that they can work with that. Our third feature focuses also on security, which is the change detection around coastal areas. Again, the authority just logs into our homepage, and after having selected the desired area, the user is able to monitor, record, and dashboard information retrieved by open sources. The next step is that when a change is detected, an alarm is raised. And this alarm highlights then the area of the event detected, which means in the next step that there is an increase in erosion, either through human activities or just natural sources. Finally then, when the monitoring is complete, the system delivers the corresponding statistics and trends on the area of interest, and also how to act on it is provided. However, as already mentioned, all the features are on our homepage. You can either click on the button or just scan that you can enter and have a look around. You can also ask for consultancy to get more information, and you can also have a look on all the subscription methods. First of all, our product. What is our product? Our startup offers satellite technology, big data, and is based on the qualitative as well as quantitative use of Earth observation data to improve both the sustainability of fishing practices and increasingly eco-friendly tourism. Having a look on the promotion, we use several activities. On the one hand, we have a newsletter which provides customers or potential customers that already registered on our homepage with the newest updates and more information. We have the consumer at the front, and we also work with our social media channels. Speaking then about the pricing, we can either go with penetration pricing or competitive pricing. The place is our target market, and therefore the core of operations will be in Portugal, of course, and everything will be organized through our platform and the reference website. The people of the company are, of course, kind of the heart of it. Next to our founders, which are 4 of us, we have 5 other employees, such as in the areas of customer success, which is also really important. The physical evidence is mainly provided online with a 24/7 support experience, but also great staff knowledge. Speaking then about the process, the continuous investment in R&D is important, but also the constant update of our data and our Earth observation records. In the next step, we will have a deeper look on our promotion. Here you can see on the left-hand side our Instagram page, which we started newly, though you will also get updates there. We will give more information. And as also mentioned, we have our monthly newsletter where everyone can register to. Having a deeper look into our pricing, we want to offer 3 different options that we can kind of provide our customers with their individual needs. We have, first of all, one feature, which is called Start. It has the access for 1 user. It has, of course, the 24/7 customer service, and the price is either 499 euros per month or 5,400 euros per year. Then the next step is our Professional, which has 2 features. 3 users have access. Again, the customer service. This has a price of 699 euros per month or 7,800 euros per year. Lastly, we have our premium kind of package. It has an access to all features, and 5 users have also access. The price there is 799 euros per month or 8,999 euros per year.
This final and fundamental Phase 5 aim to develop a business model for entering the market of the OESTE region and implement that prototype that was previously conceived. First of all, we have to analyze value consolidation through the 3M's model. We have manpower, which is a fundamental because a differentiated team makes the work easier and leads to better results. Here we have 2 divisions, one internal team consisting of Judith as a sales manager and CTO, Tomasz as project manager and CEO, Filipa as marketing manager and CFO, and finally me, Andrea, as HR manager. Then, as I already said before, there are another external division to complete the missing skills among the founders. For that reason, we have to hire 2 geospatial analysts. This is a growing field of the work that analyzes geographic data for a wide variety of industries. This role, among many activities, includes data analysis, database design, reading satellite imagery and incorporating the information it shows into database, and geocoding, which is entering precise location into a single database to create maps. Then we have to hire 1 website designer. That is a crucial position working hand in hand with the geo analyst, responsible for building the program, testing and update the BF6 platform, and website to enable an optimal and appropriate customer experience. Finally, we have to hire 2 staff members who deal with the customer service. That is the first and the last support that lets the consumer through the experience of buying or good or a service. The hiring of a qualified personnel in this area would allow our startup to optimize and satisfy our customer in the best possible way. Once defined the first M, we pass to the second one, the minute. The choice of timeline is crucial to achieve the objectives and ensuring successful implementation. BF6 plan is based on 3 years from 2021 to 2023. The first steps concern about define the project scope and the project planning by the end of May, involving the founders and external stakeholders. The second step consists in realizing the pilot implementation, generating the first customer, and proceeding with the continuous training by July 2022, involving all internal departments, for example, marketing and sales, and again the external stakeholders. The third and the final phase concerns about the research of the perfect mix between push and pull marketing and the creation of a solid partner network oriented to an expansion and a further customer acquisition by the end of December 2023. Finally, the last M must be defined, which is identified in the money. This aspect is important because it allows to understand the costs related to the activity. Among these expenses, there are wages, software and technologies, marketing and communication, inside equipment, co-working space, and also the legal cost of starting. There are also different ways of funding that allow to meet these expenses. An example of that are Horizon Europe is the EUK funding program for the research and innovation with a budget of 95.5 billion. And another example is Blue Grow program, is a funding program to increase value creation and sustainable growth in the Portuguese blue economy with a budget of 45 millions. The business model canvas is composed of 9 dimensions that aim to cover the segment that every business consists of. This framework shows how these components relate to each other, as well as how they capture the value proposed by the organization. The key partners are divided in 3 different points: suppliers of information, EOUS midstream and downstream companies, funding, Portuguese government and EU venture capitalist business angels, and complements, tech and software companies, fishing research institute, university, and fishing companies. Then there is another K activities composed by research and development to provide the most updated version service at all times, and data management, analyzing data collected by EOUS and other sources, translate the data into final outputs, monitoring the fishing, and building and maintaining strong relationship with the customer and the partners. Then the final K is the K resources, composed by advanced platform that generates data interpretation from satellites, brand patent and data copyrights, HR, office spaces, technical equipment, and leveraging partnership with raising capital for BF6. Then there is another important element that is the value proposition that composed by 4 points. Take advantage of your data to provide support in decision making for environmental relation of the marine environment through the value-added service. The second one is develop an innovative solution to address the critical challenges facing Regional OESTE today in the maritime and marine environment, in particular the monitoring of the marine protected area and the vessels traffic. The third one is providing the knowledge base of public authorities and the predictability of a management scenario. And finally, we have to contribute to more sustainable fishing practice as well as environmentally friendly and safe tourism, always aligned with the service with the SDGs. Then there are another aspect related to the customer. The first one is the customer relationship, composed by attract customers through our channels in order to build brand awareness in the industry, invest in a long-term sustainable relationship based on co-creation goals, communication and feedback, culture for steady improvements, and grow, expanding to other geographies and customer segments. Then there is the customer segments, composed by government and public authorities, background and close to the region with large coastal area, interest in implementing sustainability project, and potential customers that are interno municipal community of OESTE, Doca Pesca, Grupo Assau Loca Pesca OESTE. Then we have 2 different channels, online channels, For example, website, online platforms, social media as example, Instagram and Facebook, and email marketing, the newsletter, and offline channels, participation in technology fairs, university and cultural events related to the SDG and EO, and telephone support 24 hours a day for 7 days. Then finally, we have the cost structure that is composed by three dimensions: upfront cost, legal funding of startup, website and app creation, and investment in the site equipment. The second block is the fixed cost, composed by wages, co-working rent, and software and technologies. And the variable cost, that is the third block, composed by marketing expenses, website, and app maintenance. At the end, we have the nine and final element of this model, that is the revenue stream, that is composed by a subscription base that giving the customer a choice of monthly reports according to the feature required. There are three different services with three different prices. The first one is with only one feature analyzed for 199 euro per month. The second one has two feature analyzed for 699 euro per month. And the last one with the most complete one for 799 euro per month. In this final phase of the work, we have defined the KPIs to constantly measure the team performance and the project impact. With the implement strategy, a meeting was held with all the BF6 members to discuss the achievement of the goals. The team developed a color rating system. As you see, green is achieved, yellow partially achieved, and red not achieved. Overall, BF6 met KPIs. However, we have faced some difficulties, in particular in contacting and involving external stakeholders in the project development, and also regarding the specific content part delivered by each team member on time. Thank you for your attention.
On the conclusion, we will cover the next steps for our startup, project outputs and managerial implication, as well as for lessons learned. So for the next steps, we find it useful to divide it into 3 time periods. So right after the course, after launching our services to the market, and long-term goals. Starting with right after the course objectives, it is crucial that we design the detailed budgeting plan, making use of the plans that we already developed on the 3Ms, specifically for money, as well as perfect our business model canvas. In this way, we have our priorities straight and can look for relevant sources of funding, which leads me to the next point. Being a startup, funds can be a challenge. However, we believe that reaching out to the Horizon Europe EE grants inside the Blue Growth Program, Portuguese government, and so on can be possible opportunities to raise money for the development of our service. We also aim to have an office where main managerial decisions will be undertaken, and starting our recruitment processes for the external shareholders mentioned previously in the manpower. As for a final short-term goal, we aim to get customers and partners for our startup. That's why we need to focus on perfect our business plan in the first place. After launching our product to the market and after 1 or 2 years of operations, we will now be able to measure the company's related KPIs mentioned on phase 1, and this will give us the information needed to understand if we are on track or not. Also, our goal is to establish long-term relationships with customers, as already mentioned throughout this project, and no better way to do this than to implement and integrate their feedback to improve our services. This, combined with extending knowledge on data, will allow BF6 to provide a more personalized product, specifically on reports and thematic maps for each customer. Finally, as for the long-term goals, of course, they will suffer changes throughout the course of our activity, as there is always uncertainty on market conditions. However, one thing is certain: we aim to continuously improve our product and service to make it more automated and developed. And who knows if new products will be developed once we achieve brand loyalty in OESTE. Diversification might also be in our plans, both by fulfilling the needs of new customer segments like private companies or by expanding to new markets. As for the project outputs, our team agreed on the following. First, we have definitely developed knowledge on both EO and fishing industries. Then we were able to solve the challenge as the VCW framework allowed us to determine the most attractive geographical market for our startup. Then we have all considered that the process described the flexible way of being innovative and how to select ideas in order to come up with the ideal one. Also, because the framework incentivizes the use of tools such as brainstorming activities or even the poker method, each and every key decision maker and external shareholders' opinion was taken into consideration, which is necessary in our project given the large investments required. And finally, phase 5 and business model analysis allowed us to get the big picture on the selected solutions in combination with customer needs. With this, we were able to create a value proposition that is aligned with our service and goals. As for the managerial implications, we highlighted the fact that ending up in Portugal was great, given the expertise inside our current team. Some of us already have knowledge on the market, and establishing partnerships or finding clients will be much easier because we are residents in the country. However, we also need to account for the fact that COVID-19 may slow things down, since it will be definitely difficult to be physically in contact with potential clients and understand their needs, even if we are only a couple of kilometers away inside Portugal. To end this presentation, we would also like to share what were the main takeaways for our team after finalizing this project. The first one is the importance of stakeholders' involvement and flexibility of the framework. It was crucial to incorporate the different perspectives of the shareholders into our work. It allowed us to get a more complete and accurate analysis of BF6 startup. What is more, there were numerous times where our team encountered problems, but given the high degree of flexibility of the VCW, we were able to go back and adjust what was needed. These two aspects mixed together, for instance, when Professor Luis and Professor Carlos gave us feedback and suggestions for our work. After that, we would go back and redo whatever necessary. Then we all now value the importance of structure. Sometimes it could be hard to define a clear path of an action plan for our project. Luckily enough, the VCW helped in this aspect, and consequently, we could more easily define goals to achieve with our startup. For example, the filters and funnels that we had to apply helped to develop a structured method to reach a final attractive geographical market in the respective region. Then we also need to highlight the crucial role of a well-developed competitor analysis. Both in phase 1 and phase 4B, we had to extensively research about our competitors. This was actually a great help since we got to see what was being done in the industry, and we have a clear vision of some of the features within our service. Finally, as the last point, having a team with diverse backgrounds clearly showed to be an advantage. We all had different perspectives on the subjects, and this allowed for more interesting discussions in, for instance, brainstorming about the filters or applying the poker method. Sometimes it could be quite challenging because of conflicting ideas, but in the end we were able to surpass all the obstacles as a team. We now have reached the end of our presentation. We hope you have liked it. Thank you so much for your attention, and if you have any doubt, please contact any of us. Bye!